Well, we're not too far away from another big financial date, and that is April the 15th. That is tax day. And, you know, there's a couple of things that we can probably do at the last minute. One of them is if you haven't contributed to an IRA, you can still do that up until April 15th. But let's talk taxes here a little bit. Is there anything else that people can do between now and April the 15th that could help them tax-wise for this year or for maybe many of the April 15ths to come? What does the tax conversation sound like right now?
Yeah, so what you're talking about is a retroactive IRA contribution. So you can, until April 15th, you can do a contribution for 2024 if you've missed that. Look, is that going to move the needle for most people? Probably not much. You know, what are we going to be able to put in? 7,500, or maybe it's gone up a little bit since then. But, you know, that's not going to move the needle. And frankly, Randy, if, you know, at this close to tax time, if this is the first time you're starting to think about what should I do, there's probably not a whole lot you can do right now, right? It's about getting something planned out. I'll tell you for our clients, and you know, most of our clients are retired, right? And now what our tax management discussion is, hey, I've done a great job saving. I've got my $1 million. I've got my $2 million, and I know that the IRS is there looking over my shoulder, rubbing their hands together because they want to get a part of that. It's not really $1 million. It's not really $2 million because they're going to take their cut. And can I avoid it? No. Can I be smart about it and do it in a defined strategy that minimizes at least what I have to pay to them? Yes, you can. And that should not be something you're thinking about right when April 15th is around the corner. And it's a multi-year thing. You know, most of our clients, the plan we've got out for them, it's 8, 10, 12-year plan of how we're going to strategically take these distributions so that we pay taxes on them, yes, but we're not paying the highest bracket possible.
So I was thinking about this morning before the show here, and I was trying to think back the last time that my wife and I got a refund, and I think it was 1984. But writing checks every single year, and not huge ones, but writing a check every year to the IRS on April 15th. So when I think about that, I don't want to do that in retirement. You know, I mean, my income should be lower and I shouldn't have to write a check. But the fact of the matter is people who are in retirement are still writing checks to the IRS. And a lot of times that's because of 401ks. They're taking money out. They're having to pay and all of that. So your days of writing checks to the IRS may not be over when you're in retirement, but a lot of people think they are. I'm going to be in a lower tax bracket. How could they possibly tax me? But the fact of the matter is, it does happen, doesn't it?
Yeah, and if you're not careful with the way that you do it, you may not be in a lower tax bracket. You really may not. So we had a couple come. I think I've shared this story with you before, but I'll tell you again. We had a couple come and see us recently that they'd done a wonderful job saving, very comfortable financially. They retired like 15 years ago or something. And they were very blessed that they both worked at the same company. And they each had a pension, and they each had 401ks, and they each had Social Security. So, you know, each of them has 2 streams of guaranteed income. Each of them have a pension. Each of them have Social Security. And they were doing very well just off those 4 streams of income. I think they were on like 8 or 10,000 a month or something. Like, you know, pretty good living for retirement. Yeah. And their 401ks had been just kind of, they retired and like, well, we don't need them. You know, if an emergency comes up, if we need to use them for long-term care, we'll use them. But we're living a really good life like this, and you know, we're happy enough just kind of passing that on to our kids. And so years and years and years went by, and now they're 73, and they came to see me and they're like, "Hey, we want to start working with you and move the money over here because you know we've got these big 401ks, it's like 3 or 4 million between the two of them." And there's this thing they're saying we have to do called an RMD. And I said, you know, what can we do about that? And I was like, hey, we needed to talk 10 years ago. Yeah. That's when we needed to talk. What can you do now? Like this is, it stinks. I wish there's something we could do for them. But this is what's going to happen now is not only are they going to be in a much higher tax bracket than they needed to be, it's also going to have knock-on effects. It's going to affect their Medicare premium. They're going to have to deal with something called IRMA, which is once you get over certain income brackets, that Medicare premium keeps bumping up, and they're going to be in that situation for a long time because of a lack of planning. And it's not, did they do anything wrong? You could almost say they did everything right. It was just this one element that they didn't plan for that undid a lot of that good work they did.